Good afternoon, Pokesports. It's your host, Mike, and I play with two Pokemon on the field. Today, I am playing with Scoobar's team, who you can find on Twitter at Scoobar_. This team came second in a 208-person tournament, and it uses a Frosmoth. How often are you going to see a Frosmoth on a team that does this well? It also has a Hariyama and a Kingambit, a Girafarig, a Sylveon, and an Amoonguss, and I am just so excited to play with this. I have always kind of suspected that Frosmoth is kind of sleeper, that people aren't using it to its full potential, and this might just be one of those games, one of those teams that actually uses Frosmoth to said potential. So let's take it into the battle arena. Let's see if we can pull out some wins with it. Let's head in. All right, this first battle here is up against 2Q. Now, 2Q has a very slow team over here. That must mean that there's going to be some kind of Trick Room element to it. However, my team, this is an interesting team because it's intentionally slow because Farigiraf here has Trick Room. But it does seem a little faster than Pokemon like, I don't know, the Torkoal or the Hatterene. So maybe actually keeping Farigiraf in to imprison the Trick Room is going to be the right choice. I'm not sure. So I could go with Farigiraf and Hariyama to get rid of any kind of first turn shenanigans. However, if the Indeedee comes out, then my Hariyama is basically useless on that first turn. Sylveon. What do we think about Sylveon? I like the idea of Sylveon for the Tera Blast for Mr. Kowtow over there, but the fairy type is only really decent against the Hariyama. Frosmoth could be something, but yeah, I might have to just bring that in the back. You know what? Let's go with Farigiraf and Hariyama. Let's hope that they don't bring out the Indeedee Torkoal. Yeah, and then we'll bring out Frosmoth, and Kingambit I think seems to work, so let's go for that. Kingambit, of course, does have the flying Tera type, so dealing with, you know, the fighting type Pokemon like Hariyama, can just go for a Tera Blast on that. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, good luck, Q2. I'm going to sip my coffee. Yummy. All right, here we go. Q2 is going to send out the Kowtow man and the Explosion Boy, Eruption Boy. Gonna hit with that Drought. Neither of these Pokemon have... Interesting. Neither of these Pokemon have Trick Room. So I don't have to worry about that. I could actually just hit the... So my Farigiraf isn't getting Sucker Punched. If I Terrastalize it right now, then it's not going to go down to a Kowtow. And then I can hit them with a ×2 Hyper Voice. Is that really worth it on the very first turn, or should I just save that for later? I feel like saving that for the Kingambit is really important. This might make my Farigiraf go down, but I surely do not want to take an Eruption from that. Torkoal, what's going on here? We're Terrastalizing the Torkoal. Okay, that makes sense. So now they're going for the ×2 boosted eruptions in the sun. They want math to work for them, but today math is not going to be working for you. We're going to hit the Fake Out. We're going to hit the Hyper Voice. That's going to do half of the damage to Torkoal. That's pretty great. I think I'm happy to bring a Farigiraf down to Sash or something like this. And I think I've just made them waste their Tera. That's great, right? That feels great. So here's something I can do. I'm going to hit the Hyper Voice again, because I think hitting the Hyper Voice actually makes a lot of sense. And then I wish I could do two things at the same time with this Hariyama. I wish I could hit the Wide Guard to protect against the Torkoal. I wish I could hit the Close Combat or the Knockoff, actually. I wish I could hit the Close Combat on the... Actually, why don't I do that? If I hit the Close Combat on this guy, that's actually going to take him out. Changing my mind last second, we're going to go here, and we're going to Close Combat the Kingambit. Here we go. Yeah. So the Torkoal not wanting to go down is going to protect itself. However, I don't even care about that. I care right now about taking out the Kingambit. There it goes. Down it goes. Hariyama's defense is going to fall, but that doesn't matter. Because all, like, objective achieved. We took out that Kingambit. That's beautiful. Burgraph's going to use Psychic. Nothing's going to happen. It doesn't actually matter. The rest of his team is a little bit slower, I think, than my Pokemon. So this is great. I think this is great. Okay, and now we have opened up the floor for a new Pokemon to come out. Still unable to use any kind of priority. That's just going to be Hatterene. That's just going to be Hatterene. I'm going to hit the Hyper Voice here. No, I'm still going to hit the Psychic on that. You know what it was? I look at this screen and I see the Terrestrialize normal and I'm like, ooh, I can Tera normal and hit the Hyper Voice. Or if I don't Tera normal, I can still hit the Hyper Voice. No, hit the Psychic because it does more damage. Go for a... Should I go for a knockoff here? I think I should go for a knockoff here. This will be Hariyama going first. Do I bother? Yeah, I think let's go for a knockoff on the Hatterene. Yeah, he's gonna hit the double protect. That's fine, I guess. This does mean that the Farigiraf is probably gonna go down. But if this is a Trick Room, am I gonna be okay? Oh no, am I gonna be okay if this is a Trick Room? We'll see. Yeah. See, this could have been an Imprison, and that would have been just fine, but we don't have that kind of luxury today. So if I swap that into Kingambit or Frosmoth, then nothing really good happens. We still don't... Oh, hold on. I can switch Farigiraf here into Kingambit. Yep. And then Hariyama can hit the Wide Guard. So at least we have defense from the Torkoal. And the next turn I have to be incredibly wary of it going for like a protect again against my Kowtow Cleave Boy. It's gonna go for the flamethrower. That's smart. I have never seen that, but that's absolutely the right play. Good job. Good job, this guy. And then brutal swing on the wide guarded guy. That's gonna hit the it's gonna hit him. Farigiraf's still here, Frosmoth's still here. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna bring out the Frosmoth because I can hit protect on the Frosmoth. And then hopefully take out the Hatterene. Should I really just be worried about taking out the Torkoal? Maybe. No, I'm going to hit the Iron Head here. I'm expecting a protect. And then over here, I'm also going to hit the protect. And then next turn, I can always Terrestrialize and, you know, protect myself that way. Looks like Frosmoth gets the first protect, meaning that Torkoal, yeah, it doesn't even matter for Torkoal. Torkoal's just going to erupt. I'm not actually going to go for a protect at all. If I live this, if Kingambit lives this, the next turn, I can't, yep. Kingambit lives this, the next turn I can go for a Sucker Punch because I feel like they're disrespecting the Kingambit. So let's just go with this. Ironhead's going to take out the Hatterene. We just have one Pokemon left. One Pokemon left on the other side after the Torkoal. They're going to bring out one more Pokemon. And I think right now it is safe for me to go for a Sucker Punch on the Torkoal. Never mind. Talk about safety. That's not safety at all. Not safety at all. And this is definitely not the situation where I want a Tera flying to save myself, is it? Or it kind of might be. How many turns on Trick Room left? 2. I might be able to finagle this. We'll go for Tera Blast. That does mean Frosmoth is going to take fire damage here. No, that can't be right. We're gonna go for that. We're gonna Terrestrialize and go for Quiver Dance. And then next turn we'll go for a Protect. It might just be a Fake Out on either one of those Pokemon, really. But we'll see if we can't make that work. I think this is the right play. Tera Electric. There's nothing that they have that can deal with Electric. Yeah, Fake Out does go on the Kingambit just so they can take out the Kingambit. And then it's going to Erupt again. So it's at half health, so it doesn't do that much to Frosmoth at all. And just by playing this slowly, now I have a Quiver Danced Frosmoth. Special defense, speed, and special attack are all going to go up. Oyo gets burned by his Flame Orb, and I have Farigiraf in the back. I totally forgot about that. So Farigiraf's going to come out. I don't think it actually matters, though, unfortunately. I think it still all comes down to Frosmoth. I'm going to hit the Hyper Voice on the two of them. I'm going to hit the Protect on the Frosmoth, because I think that the Hariyama is going to go for a physical attack into the Frosmoth, knowing that the Torkoal can't really do that much damage to me. The Frosmoth protects. Torkoal erupts. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Farigiraf is going to go down. Hariyama's only choice now is to go for an attack into Frosmoth. That being a close combat. Okay. So that's what I have to look forward to next turn, when the Trick Room is resolved. I now have an Ice Beam that needs to take out this Hariyama. Yeah, because Hariyama is definitely going to be doing the most damage to me. Let's just go for that. Ice Beam is the most damage that I can do. It takes him down to 1. Takes him down to such low HP, and close combat's going to be able to take me out. No! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If I had done a tiny little bit more damage to that Hariyama, it would have gone down to that Ice Beam. And then the Eruption wouldn't have done that much damage to me. And I would have been able to take out next turn with the Tera Blast. That was so close. Oh, let's call that variance. Let's call that variance. Yeah. There was a couple misplays over there as well with the Kingambit, I think, and with Farigiraf, where I should have gone for Hyper Voice, where I went for Psychic and went into a couple Protects, as well as the Imprison and Trick Room. I could have stopped that entire thing. Well, either way, let's take what we learned. Let's go into game 2. Let's just try and make it better this time. All right, let's go. All right, next battle against Alan. You know what I liked about that last game is the fact that it came so close. I was using the Frosmoth and it still came that close. And if it came that close, then that just means if you play it a little better, then you'll actually go and, win games like that. So, that said, I think that Hariyama Farigiraf, I'm really liking as a lead here. Because Farigiraf with the, what's that called? Armor Tail. It prevents things like Fake Out. It prevents things like Extreme Speed. It prevents things like Sucker Punch, which is perfect. Exactly what this team needs right now. Because of the Meowscarada, because of the Arcanine. So we can start with those. And I think actually hitting a Trick Room here is a solid plan. So why don't we just do that? And then Frosmoth Kingambit, should that work? I don't know about Frosmoth Kingambit, actually. I like Kingambit here. I think Kingambit does some decent damage. But then Sylveon. Sylveon kind of has something for everybody. So let's go and bring Sylveon here. Let's bring Kingambit in the back as well. That could be Amoonguss, but I don't think it's going to be Amoonguss. Let's go and swap into that. I say swap into it like we're actually playing the game. No, let's go and bring the Kingambit. Let's start up game 2. Is this like a... Oh, this was a thread. Get this thread out of here. Come on. All right. Beginning of the game, let's take a sip of coffee so we can get charged up. It's going to be Grimmsnarl and Amoonguss. Now, that is Such a defensive play, Grimmsnarl and Amoonguss. I like it. I want it gone. So we're going to go for the fake out on the Amoonguss. I think I'm actually going to hit the Trick Room. No, Hariyama and Farigiraf, I think, will go before the Amoonguss. Ugh. See, it's such a tough situation here, because if I go for... Anyway, we'll go for fake out on this. If we see that Amoonguss goes before the Farigiraf, then we know something. Grimmsnarl is going to start with a Reflect. That's interesting. That's interesting. And then Farigiraf with the Psychic. Let's see if that can actually do enough damage. It did decent damage. Amoonguss is going to flinch. Okay, so we know that the Amoonguss went after my Farigiraf. So I think the play here actually is to go for a knockoff on the Amoonguss slot and to go for a Trick Room at the end of the turn, because we know that the Grimmsnarl isn't going to do very much to the Farigiraf. It can go for a Spirit Break on the Hariyama, but it won't take it out if it does that. Plus Grimmsnarl is super fast. This is me just kind of justifying it to myself. And the rest of the team is much more speedy than my team. So this feels like a free Trick Room here. This feels like Amoonguss is going to immediately go down or swap into something that doesn't want to take a knockoff. So let's go and hit the Trick Room. All right, Grimmsnarl is going to hit the Light Screen. They've committed to just taking out this Amoonguss. I like it. All right, and so we say bye-bye to the Amoonguss. Hariyama's going to get hit by the Rocky Helmet twice, but I don't really mind that. I don't really think that's a bad thing. So the Rocky Helmet's gone, and now the Trick Room is up. We're in good shape. We're in good shape. If they bring out the super fast Meowscarada, I have a close combat for that. If they bring out the Garchomp, I have a knockoff for that, or a close combat. Really, I could choose either one. They have an Arcanine. And Arcanine does not want to Extreme Speed into my Armor Tail, but it does want to intimidate my Hariyama. So that's not the best for me, I guess. That was probably one of the better choices that they could have made. But for this, I could actually swap the Hariyama into Sylveon. Is that right? I don't mind doing that, actually. Because then that makes Hariyama able to do another fake out the next time it comes in. And then for Farigiraf, what can you do? Farigiraf can hit the... Should I really go for the Tera normal Hyper Voice here? I don't like doing that because Grimmsnarl can hit the Spirit Break and do some nasty damage. So let's go for a Hyper Voice. Let's just do some damage right now. But it is important that Farigiraf stays on the field. Because Farigiraf with the Armor Tail is going to null any kinds of extreme speeds that the Arcanine can do. Grimmsnarl is going to hit the Foul Play on Farigiraf. That doesn't do half, but the Arcanine's Flare Blitz will likely take out my Farigiraf there. Which is fine. Arcanine takes some pretty decent damage from that as well, and then Hariyama can come back in with a Fake Out. Do we want to bring in the Fake Out? I think so. Yeah, we're going to bring in the Fake Out. I'm going to try and hit the Arcanine with a Fake Out, and then I'm going to try and hit it with a Hyper Voice here. I think that makes the most sense. We'll go for that, and then we'll get the Throat Spray boost as well, right? So we'll go for a Fake Out on the Arcanine. I think I have to do it on the Grimmsnarl, actually, because the Grimmsnarl is going to go for a Spirit Break on my Sylveon and bring down that special attack. Yeah, I think that's the way. We're going to hit the Fake Out. Shabam. Does decent damage, even in Reflect. That's pretty cool. Sylveon hits the Hyper Voice, and that does, again, decent damage to the Grimmsnarl. Okay damage to the Arcanine, but if it hits with a Flare Blitz, one, I don't think that'll take out the Sylveon, and two, it's going for that on the Hariyama. Yeah, that'll take out the Hariyama, that's fair. However, that does mean that the Hyper Voice, the +1 Hyper Voice, is likely going to take out, definitely going to take out this Arcanine. So we can bring out the Kingambit now. I want to hit the Arcanine with a Sucker Punch, but I'm just so sure that it's going to go for an Extreme Speed on somebody. I think I'm going to do it anyway, though. I think this is probably my last turn of Trick Room as well. No, I have 2 turns left of Trick Room. This is wonderful. All right, we're going to go for Sucker Punch on... Does it really have to be a Sucker Punch? If it's going to be an extreme speed, then it's going to be an extreme speed. We go before them. We might as well just go for a Kowtow Cleave, I guess. Yeah, I mean, whatever. No, they're just opting not to go for an extreme speed. Maybe they just don't have it. Oh, maybe this is a Banded Arcanine. It's only gone for... it has only gone for Flare Blitzes up until now. So maybe that Arcanine was Banded. Okay, so now we have one turn left of Trick Room, and we have one Pokemon left. So we're doing pretty well right now, and it's just going to be Garchomp. I think we can handle this. We're going to use Hyper Voice on the Garchomp, and I'm actually going to Tera Flying so I can hit the Kowtow Cleave on the Garchomp. Do I do that? I could just do the Tera Blast. Yeah, I mean, hit the Tera Blast. Why not? This is the right move, okay? This is the right move. I know that the Garchomp has Rock Slide, but it's not going to use it. It's going to use an Earthquake on my Sylveon and my Kingambit. So at least this turn I can dodge an Earthquake before next turn it hits me with a Rock Slide. And I want it to hit me with a Rock Slide instead of an Earthquake because that is the least powerful move between the two. And if Earthquake was going to be super effective against my Garchomp anyway, then I might as well go for this. All right, so Garchomp going for the Protect, rightfully baiting out the Trick Room turns. Now Twisted Dimensions are going to return to normal, but I still don't think that the Sylveon, or that the Garchomp rather, can take out my Sylveon, barring like a Terra Steel Iron Head. And that's a very specific move that it does. Now that said, should I... Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for a Kowtow Cleave to kind of cover my bases just in case it does do that. Because we haven't seen the Terastallization yet from this guy. So, question is, what is that going to be? Is that going to, in fact, be the Terra Steel? That would be kind of scary. No, it's just going to be the Terra Ground. So this thing needs to take out my Kingambit here with a Rock Slide, which it's not going to do. It's not going to do. Sylveon's going to flinch. Kingambit is not going to flinch, is going to, in fact, hit the Kowtow Cleave. Now, the question is, should I just go for... I think I'm just going to go for a Hyper Voice on this thing. It can take a couple of Rock Slides before I really need to start panicking. I don't really want to take much more rough skin damage, so let's just go for a Tera Blast here. And then next turn, if I really need to do something, then I can go for my priority moves. I can go for Sucker Punch. I can go for Quick Attack. But this Tera Blast is going to, in fact, take out the Garchomp. So that's beautiful. All right, so Garchomp's going to go down. That's going to be the end of the game. We did it. We did it with the team. Yo, Sylveon and Kingambit, really strong. Farigiraf is a G. I actually really like the Farigiraf here. Big fan of Hariyama as well. That's great. Okay, cool. Let's take this team. Let's go and play one more game. Let's see if we can't pull out another win. Okay, let's go. All right, the last team we're going up against here is Meow, who's bringing in the Indeedee Armarouge. Oh, scary. It's scary with this, because look at these. These are three, the top three Pokemon are very fast, right? They want to not be in Trick Room, especially not the Talonflame, who has Tailwind. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start with the Hariyama and the Amoonguss. I think so. Yeah, I think that's right. And then in the back, we can bring Farigiraf for all those priority mons. There are two there. And I could bring Sylveon. I feel like Kingambit is the better way to go. But all that said, maybe I just bring the Frosmoth. His Ice Scales reduces special damage. And like, was that 4? No, 3. 3 of them do special damage. And the other ones are Dragapult and Meowscarada. I don't know. Meowscarada and Dragapult are very strong. I feel like Frosmoth doesn't want to take any of those kind of things outside of snow. If it would have been snow, this would be a different situation. Kingambit is probably the safer play here. Okay, we'll bring that. I feel like when you have a Frosmoth on your team, it's so niche that your opponent thinks that you're going to bring it. And so I have a feeling that my opponent is going to try and counter for Frosmoth while not really looking toward the other things. Anyway, here comes, oh no, that's interesting. Here comes the Talonflame and the Sylveon. I can just hit the Fake Out here. This, I don't know. If I assume that the Talonflame, okay, here's my thought process. The Talonflame can either go for a priority Brave Bird or a priority Tailwind. Fake Out gets rid of both of those because of Gale Wings. And then I can put the Sylveon? The Sylveon to sleep. Wide Guard protects against the Sylveon's Hyper Voice. But that said, why don't I just put... Oh, I could always Spore it later. Or Clear Smog. Whatever. Anyway, we're going to put the Sylveon to sleep. Hariyama's going to use Fake Out. Get rid of that Gale Wings. I don't want it in my life. I don't want it in my game. Sylveon's going to hit the Hyper Voice. That does so much damage to Hariyama. But at least now I get to put the... That was a critical hit on Amoonguss. Don't lie to me. We'll at least put the Sylveon to sleep. Good night. Problem is now I have a Talonflame that still threatens the Amoonguss in real bad ways. But actually, here's what I could do. Let's hit the knockoff here. This is going to seem silly, but I'm going to Terrastalize and hit Rage Powder? Do I hit Rage Powder or Spore? So I don't want Hariyama going down. Really don't want Hariyama going down. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to defensively Terrastalize. I rarely do this. I feel like it's not often the best play, but it's going to do it here. Okay, because this is going to soak up any kind of, flying damage from Brave Bird. I think it just makes sense. And it does have Regenerator, so I can swap it out later if I really need to. Brave Bird's still going to do some damage to this Talonflame as well. So that's always nice. Sylveon is fast asleep. And then Hariyama with the knockoff is going to actually take out the Talonflame, which is beautiful. No Sharp Beak for you. What do I do about this Sylveon? When it wakes up, I am done. I'm so scared of when it wakes up. I'm terrified of when that wakes up. Meow is going to send out the Dragapult now. Okay. I think this is the turn to swap out the Amoonguss for the Kingambit. So it's gonna go for a Dragon Darts. Is that a spread move? I think it is. Does that register as a spread? Anyway, we're gonna swap that out for Kingambit. So this protects against an enemy Hyper Voice. It protects against what I assume is going to be a Dragon Darts. It can't be anything that can be redirected. I don't think that they would do that willingly. Yeah, so that doesn't actually protect against Dragon Darts. It hits both Pokemon, but it doesn't protect against Dragon Darts. That's silly. And now Sylveon's still fast asleep, which means that next turn it's going to wake up. Is this the time that I bring out the Amoonguss? I think so. I'm certainly not going to bring out the Farigiraf, because that would be not good. Yeah, we're going to go with Amoonguss. I am slowly regaining control of this game, I think. Just need to be careful about this turn specifically, because Sylveon's probably going to wake up. Sylveon is probably going to wake up. I can hit the Protect. I saw how much damage Dragon Darts did to Kingambit. And I know that it's only going to do decent damage to the Kingambit coming in. So if I go for the Protect, and I go for the... Oh, I could go for Kowtow Cleave on the Dragapult as well. That's true. But I think the right play is to go for Iron Head on Sylveon. Because that's the guy at +1 right now. Yeah. We're going to do that. Amoonguss is going to hit Protect. That's going to be a Dragon Darts on just on Kingambit twice because I'm protecting. I forgot that that's how that works too. That sucks. Okay, so that's at least going to hit the protected Amoonguss. Kingambit's not going to go down to that. Oh, that Iron Head. That beautiful Iron Head. Look at that. Okay, this is all going to come down to Farigiraf, I think. This is all going to come down to Farigiraf. So that's Armarouge. I think that everyone's going to get a Rage Powder here. That's going to be a Rage Powder into a Kowtow Cleave. Yeah, we'll do the... So if this guy terastallizes... then Kowtow Cleave's not going to do nearly as much. If this guy, he's not going to terastallize. This is the guy who's going to terastallize. It's going to do decent damage. It's going to do barely any damage. Let's go for that. It's going to do decent damage. No, it's not. It's going to do nothing. Who are you kidding? The Armarouge terastallizes here. I assume it's grass. Yeah, there it is. It's grass. Oh, wait. No, the Rage Powder. Oh, the Rage Powder. Okay. The Rage Powder isn't going to work on the Armarouge because it's grass type. Anyway, Dragon Darts is at least going to hit the Amoonguss twice. I love that that's how that works. Turns out that the Rage Powder doesn't make a difference. It's all down to Armarouge versus Farigiraf, I think. Yeah, the Armor Cannon here. And by that, I mean it's also down to the down to the Dragapult as well. I don't know how I'm going to take down that Dragapult. I think I just lose. What could I have done differently here? Frosmoth wouldn't have been right. Hariyama, if I could have saved that, then that might have done something. Sylveon, if I brought that in, then that could have done pretty decent Hyper Voice, actually. Anyway, let's, fun games for fun people. We're going to try and take out the Armarouge with a Psychic. We're going to try and not go down to Dragon Darts, which thankfully we don't do. And Farigiraf doesn't even get a turn. That's a... Okay. So you know what? Come second in a tournament, I play it. I do not do well with it at all. So that's fine. That's fine. This is kind of how this goes, though. Like, we know that this team is good. We know that this team is worthy. However, the pilot completely makes the team. So now your job as a Pokemon player is to take this team and try and do well with it yourself. And then you can come back and explain what makes this team really good. Because I see that there are a bunch of strong Pokemon on here, but I guess I don't see the order and I don't see the interactions. Okay. Anyway, let's take this team into the lab and let's go talk about it. All right. So here's that team. That's Hariyama, Amoonguss, Frosmoth, Kingambit, Farigiraf, and Sylveon. Frosmoth, the things that Frosmoth does on paper are really, really good. It has high special attack stat, it has Quiver Dance, it has high special defense stat, and Ice Scales makes it so that special attacks do even less damage, which is really, really cool. And then you can terastallize that into Electric and get rid of all of the nasty weaknesses that Frosmoth has in Fire, in, Fire, and in Fire. Farigiraf is a great Pokemon. You can Tera Normal it to get rid of Dark and Bug weaknesses, go for Hyper Voice Psychics, You can hit the Trick Room in situations where you need to hit a Trick Room, and to me, that is where I think I struggle the most. I thought about that between that last game and here, where, you know, what am I missing as a pilot? I think that is just knowing how and when to Trick Room, because I've never, ever been good at that. I can hit Imprison to stop Trick Rooms. I can hit Trick Rooms myself. I have all of those tools ready for me as a Farigiraf player, but I need to know when to do that. Sylveon is just the great Sylveon set. Hyper Voice, Quick Attack, both hitting Pixelate and getting that extra damage and becoming Fairy type. With the Tera Blast for fire, if you need to deal with Steel type Pokemon that are trying to oppose the Sylveon. Kingambit, same kind of thing. You can Terrasilize into flying to get rid of your ground weakness, turn it into a ground immunity, and still hit flying damage with Tera Blast, Sucker Punch, Iron Head, Kowtow Cleave, all very powerful moves, especially with the Assault Vest, so you're cutting special damage. Amoonguss is a wonderful Pokemon, and every single time you're unsure of what to do, just slap an Amoonguss on your team, hit the Spore, hit the Rage Powder. Clear Smog is great to remove bonuses and, you know, deal with Dondozo, because of course if you don't deal with Dondozo, then Dondozo is going to deal with you. And then Hariyama with Fake Out, Close Combat, Wide Guard, Knockoff. All very powerful moves, has the Flame Orb to make it even more powerful. If you can get the Fake Out off once and then, you know, get burned, swap out your Hariyama, bring it out the next time, your next Fake Out is going to do a ton of damage. So keep that in mind. Anyway, this is probably one of the last times this year. I think there's one more game that I'll be playing in the first month of Series 1 before everything goes and resets. Right now, to let people know, I am sitting in the low end of Masters, right? So, you know, I have at least made it to Master rank, and I did that about midway through the month, but sitting somewhere in the high 30s, low 40s in terms of rank, 40,000. So a lot of people made it to Masters this time around. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later. Bye.